That'll be us then, boys and girls. Radio Tatras International, your station of the stars, broadcasting around the world, as we do on a Friday, everywhere. Oh, God, he's playing with computers again already. There we go. So all the first runners in already there. Steve and Dave get the initial bonus comment this morning. Mike Darby, you get a comment as well because you've got your poppy on. Good man. Paul Rustling's there as well. Lee's here. Hello, Lee.
Hello.
Are you all right?
I'm well. If I had what? Well, keep moving it. If I had the time to tell you how good things are in my life, I would be on the air for the next 3 years. It's wonderful.
Nothing new there at all. Quickly, because we've got to holding on. It's Rachel.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Hello.
I'm all right. I got to recover from the singing.
Oh no, he's not. Shut up.
What's wrong with my singing?
Well, it was just the trouble is with this technology, it's really directional, and so all I can hear. I couldn't hear what the track was behind you, but all I could hear was your singing. It was sort of like walking past the bathroom door when somebody's having a good old time in the shower.
That's right. You see, as I tell everybody, I sing perfectly in the shower.
There is something to do with your singing, which is to do with a modern band, so-called, called One Direction. The difference is your singing is no direction.
Mike Darby says, good morning, Eric. Dobry den, Karen, Moya, Akosamaja, Karen.
Dobry den, Karen.
And Gabriella's there as well.
Dobry den, Gabriella.
Graham Ledger. Who is
Dobry den, Graham Ledger?
No, Graham. Graham, actually, without
I know Graham.
Without making him all embarrassed, is one of the driving forces of commercial radio in the early days, and kept on pushing as well.
He was.
Good man.
Hello, Graham.
Hello, Graham.
He's pretending I don't know you. We converse a lot, don't we? We don't always agree.
No, but there you go. Hi to Robert, Sue, Noreen, Wendy, mwah, Wendy.
Mwah, Wendy.
Kelly says, hiya from Germany. How do you do it in German?
Dobry den, you. Friday.
No, it's not.
I forgot. You put me on the spot. What's German for hiya? It's willkommen. Welcome.
Welcome. Yeah, I get that bit. Petra Norris says, the reason why Lee is so happy is because she made him a cup of coffee.
Dobry den, Petra.
No, Ďakujem.
No, I'm saying hello to her. I'm not thanking her for a cup of coffee.
Oh, for goodness
She's
sake.
our slave. You said last week you got us in trouble.
God.
Oh, can I just do a public announcement?
Oh,
Not
God.
from the ConsumerWatchFoundation.com, by the way.
Oh, God.
It's you, Dorothy, an apology.
Why?
For upsetting her yesterday, arguing politics with her.
I didn't upset her. She said she agreed. She said
She
again,
agreed with your little
Smiley. Yes, you see, we were still friends.
You'd really impressed her.
Steve, I've got a message from to Petra, which says, shame you can't come over to the UK and make me a cup of coffee.
Well, if you pay, she will.
Petra wants to know if that's an invite.
Yes, it is. Dobry den, Petra.
Oh, God. Hello, Dorothy. You see, she still loves me.
Dobry den, Dorothy.
Oh,
I made him
God.
apologise. See, you liked his little smiley. Anyway, I've made him put it away.
What, the smiley?
Yeah, you little one.
Anyway, Rach, what have you been doing this week?
Oh, goodness me! What haven't I been doing? I've been lamenting the international dateline, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Why?
Yes, because if you don't, by the way, everybody in Europe and the UK, your clocks change on the 28th, don't you know?
Yes.
He's just been telling me that. Yeah, I didn't know that.
So you have to go. I don't know what I think you go back an hour,
That's right.
and we've gone forward an hour, so it gets to the horrible 6 months of the year for Rach.
Right. That's 2 hours.
Horrible. Also, before I forget, hello to Lee and Grace, and sorry, I can't even say that name.
Let me have a look.
Zayuzi.
Zayuzi.
Yeah, maybe.
He's a young gun.
Gosh.
God.
Oh, gosh, Uncle Lee.
No. Oh, dear.
Oh, do you know what? You should be sent to the penitentiary for that.
I think he should. I think he should. It's happening everywhere today, Rach. I send gags about UK football teams.
But it wasn't funny. It just wasn't funny.
And he said, "You can't be serious." I said, "No, it's a joke." And he went, "What's the joke?"
It wasn't a joke.
I said, "The clocks go back this week." And he went, "Oh, ha ha ha."
That's not funny.
Never mind.
You should be ticked off for that. Ha ha ha.
No. Hi, Thomas and Patrick. Buy Lee a new joke book. Yeah, he borrowed the last one off Tony Blackburn, Steve. Don't worry about it. Anyway, we move on.
Logtastic.
Excuse me, don't you muck about with Debbie and my song?
Oh, here we go, Rachel. Have you read the ConsumerWatchFoundation.com this week, Rachel?
Well, yes, but I've also been waiting for that extra article to appear, Uncle Lee.
Which one?
Oh, no.
The one I writ you.
Oh God, I forgot. I'm so sorry. Oh, send me a message, Rich. I'm sorry. It's a brilliant article as well. I am so sorry. I'm so humbled. I am so humbled.
There could be trouble ahead.
But we have been doing a lot on specifics this week, and I've had to write to everybody who contributes. We've got 10 writers now on the ConsumerWatchFoundation.com, and I've had to write to them all, apologising for not using the stuff. The Duke said, I'm 3 behind with the Duke.
Just have a mag published day.
Yeah, but then you don't treat them properly. You don't give them treat. We're doing lots of things of Britain in Slovakia. We've been doing a lot on child sex abuse and all sorts of things. It's been really important, but I'm really sorry to every writer we have and for not using your stuff. I've got one piece from Dorothy that she sent me 6 weeks ago. I'm so sorry, Dorothy. I'll show you my little smiley.
Steve's right. 5 minutes, Lee. You're slipping before getting a mention.
Nah, I've done it 3 times, Steve. You've not been listening.
Uncle Lee, I thought I was being punished because...
Yeah.
No, honestly.
Because I frequently promise things and I never deliver them, and finally I did, and I thought you were putting me on ice.
No, honestly, it's just been so busy. I've had to be dealing with this nice Eric person.
Well, I sent him don't worry, Rach, I sent him an article about 2 months ago. He still hasn't used it.
Which one's that?
I'm lying.
Is it about tech catalogues or something equally interesting?
Honestly.
Oh, here we go. Stephen says, "Good morning, Eric." This is Stephen James. And gang, how is the weather where you are?
Brilliant.
It's
hot.
Brilliant. It's not hot.
It is hot.
It's not raining. And as Steve says, it's not raining in Tokyo. Ha ha. That is one of my most favourite sketches of all time, Stephen. You got that bang on. Apparently, it's raining over there, wherever you are in, I assume, the UK.
They're having a snow thunder.
It's not raining here. It's spring.
It's spring, isn't it?
Spring is sprung.
Spring in Australia, and it's great, because we've moved by the beach, and it's quite lovely. It really is. There's that lovely sea breeze, that spring sea breeze. It's quite nice.
Why do you get a sea breeze when you live in the middle of the land?
I live on a coast, don't you know?
Oh, right, I didn't realise that.
Most of Australians' capital cities are on the coast. In fact, they all are.
I thought you lived in the middle of a desert.
We're on the coast. No, that's the middle. That's where the big rock
koala bears.
is.
Right, before we start the news, here comes the weather. From Hull, with Paul, brilliant sunshine in the Yorkshire Riviera. Nippy, though. Keith in Birmingham says, freezing here. He wants you to give me a clip round the ear for some reason. I know why.
What, a hair clip?
Probably. It's raining in Liverpool.
Ooh.
We're doing better than the Met Office,
But can I just ask that nice Petra person a question, please?
Actually, no, I've got a question as well. Why do we call it nippy?
Nippy?
Because it makes the stand out. Ask the girls.
No, darling, it isn't. It's because you are nippy when you're out in the cold. You nip about quickly. That's the reason. Can I just ask Petra?
But he was being rude.
Who was?
Paul.
Was that Mr. Rustling?
Yes.
Get out your paper bag, Mr.
He
Rustling.
said nippy, not nipply.
No, but he was referring to Scammell Wilnuts. I know. He was referring to Scammell Wilnuts. I know this guy. Hello to Peter James. And Brian Morgan's joined us. We're going to. Honestly, guys, we will do some news in a minute.
Not yet. Can I just ask Petra a question?
God.
Petra, this is for you. We need an answer. You could come in and tell us if you wanted. why do all the Popradians dress like Eskimos when it's really sunny? And I was brave and walked through the city with just my shirts on. I had my pants on as well and my shoes, but with just a shirt on.
And your jeans.
And my jeans, with holes in, air holes.
Yeah, fashion.
And why does everybody in Poprad walk around with big scarves and big hats on? Because it's a bit sunny.
I don't get that either.
No.
I get that every Wednesday. They go, oh, aren't you cold? I go, no. Hi to Sanjid, who's just said hi.
Hi, Sanjid.
Hi, Sanjid. Hi to Chris as well.
Hi, Chris. Who?
Chris Bryant.
Who's him? Never heard of him.
Oh, Chris, just ignore him. Look, Chris, as I tell everybody regularly, I came round a corner one day, saw him standing on the street corner, took him in for a cup of coffee to warm him up, and I ain't got rid of him yet.
I know, I've got him drunk and he can't remember meeting me. He just thinks I belong now.
Right, over to the cultural nice people, which means Lee and Rach, because I have no idea where I'm going on the first two bits.
Hello.
So we'll let Lee have the first one, because he's always going on about what is it?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Nobel
Prizes?
Thank you.
Oh, the Nobel Prizes, you believe it. This is what he thinks a Nobel Prize is called. The Nobel Prize, N-O-B-L-E.
That's about all it's worth. It's been nobbled.
No, it isn't. And that's being very rude. So you only give me this because of his name. Osama Shimomura. Who's a Nobel Prize winner and was known as Dr. Jellyfish because he discovered the green fluorescent protein. That's the thing that they've gone on my watch, actually. They don't work on my watch anymore. How do you make them come back to life?
They can actually die out.
Well, they died. Anyway, my green fluorescent things have died.
Because it is a protein which can die.
Yeah, well, mine are dead. And so's Osama Shimomura, who discovered them. He's dead. He was 90, and it's sad. But it doesn't work anyway, because my watch is dead as well. Thank you.
Panic! Panic!
Oh, no.
Panic, Captain Mannering! Panic! Panic!
Don't like it, Upham.
Chris Bryant said, hi.
Hi, Chris, whoever you are.
It will soon be Christmas.
Oh.
Yes, I'm so happy.
I'm so happy. Oh, so happy. I'm so happy and wonderful and kind. Told you I was in one of those mood rates.
Can I just add something to this nice story about Mr. Shimomura?
Who lived? Can you say where he gone?
Come on,
say where he was born.
Listen. Just listen to the international expert speaking the language correctly.
Right. Okay. Who's going to name that city where he was born?
It's called Fukushima.
Rachel said that word.
No, she did not.
Sorry.
Anyway,
he
was the green fluorescent protein was really cool because what scientists used to inject it into various cells and track what was happening. It's like it becomes, because it gets luminous, they could see what was going on with cells that cancer cells and cells related to Alzheimer's and stuff like that. That's why it was such an interesting discovery.
Will you just explain to Mr. Banks,
yes,
as the person that does understand international languages, Rach,
yes,
that at certain times in the Japanese language especially, they have silent T's in words as well.
Have very silent T's. They also don't have syllables that mush together.
Yes.
They don't have separate consonants a lot of the time, and also one word can mean about 20 things depending on how you use it in a sentence.
That's the same as British, isn't it?
And did you know that it's one of the most easiest languages to learn because there's no past or future or present tense?
Oh, glorious!
In English,
yes.
And there's no masculine or feminine verbs, and there's none of that stuff.
So,
brilliant. Well, how do you know who you're talking to? And whether you've said it before?
It's a very simple language to learn. I learnt it like nobody's business within about 6 months when I lived there.
Ah. Once upon a time, we did a load with NHK in Tokyo. Really nice people.
Is that like KFC?
No.
No, it's better.
It's better, much better.
Bigger burgers?
It's a proper broadcasting network.
Oh, right.
And it was during the days of the transition from analogue to digital television. And for some bizarre reason, they commissioned me to do a load of stuff.
Oh, right.
And the European coordinator, I will pronounce her name correctly, not the way my boys in the office looked at her business card and laughed, because her name had a T in it, but it was pronounced Shizu.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Not
I
like
get
the dog.
it, yeah.
Yes, you got it
Not like
there.
the dog.
Yeah.
This is a true story. There was, when I worked on the Chester Chronicle in the beginnings of my journalistic career, there was a family called Commode. Their name really was Commode, and they named their daughter Honor.
Right.
That's mode.
Honestly,
Do you know
it's
the-
true. I
do you know
didn't
the
make it
Japanese-
up.
Do you want another one?
Do
What then?
you want to know the Japanese word for toilet?
Go on.
Benjo.
Benja. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
Do
she
you
had
know-
a boyfriend. It was on her and off her all night.
Do you know, I once tried to register with the Kennel Club of Great Britain.
Right.
A dog's name. The second part of the name was Ball, and the first part was Ophelia. And they rejected it.
Can I tell you a true
well, no
story?
kidding.
This is
Anyway,
for
I
Dorothy.
got messages going out over here first. You can do Dorothy a minute. I imagine you'll talk about it later, but can I put a question to you guys? Do many journalists get killed every year? Yes, they do,
Yes,
actually.
they do. They never used to, but they do now.
Keith says, greetings and salutations to Steve Ward. Hope you're feeling a bit brighter today. Well, I hope Steve is feeling brighter today. We can't have a not bright Steve. I hope you're all right, Steve. And if you have been poorly, I hope you get better soon. We move on to...
Just before we do, can I tell me Dorothy's story? Because it's really important. It is true, right? This
It's
was,
15 minutes in. We've done one story.
and I've only mentioned the consumerwatchfoundation.com 4 times now.
5 times.
This is true,
6.
right? And I could get
7.
taken off the air, and I'm ashamed for doing this.
Oh.
But Dorothy once phoned me up and asked me, because they got a new dog, what to call it. And it was just a joke. I said, call it Kinnell. And they did. They called it Kinnell. And it was brilliant. Every night she used to go out and shout Kinnell at the front door.
Yes, of course, they were living alongside the riverway known as the canal, weren't they?
It's a true
Was it
story.
far?
She'll tell you. Dorothy, confirm that's a true story.
Right, Rachel,
Uncle
Carlos...
Lee, Uncle Lee, was it far?
Hey?
Was
Hang
it
on.
near or far, the canal?
Oh, Rachel, that was even worse. Tony says, where are Dickens is Tony? It's 12 below zero where he is.
Is that Tony Dickens?
No, Tony Fielders.
He's a butcher in a meat locker.
He
Get out
must
of
be
there.
freezing. Hello, Peter Quinn. Hello, Peter. Crikey, long time no
Is
see.
that the mighty Quid?
That's the mighty Peter Quinn.
Hello, Mr. Mighty.
Rachel, Carlos is all yours.
Carlos,
yeah,
it's
they're
better.
gonna do some news.
He's the creator of Lawman of the Future, Judge Dredd, the cult comic book
That was hard to
that
say, wasn't
came
it?
out in. I think it was a very long time ago. But he was 70 years old. He died. There were 3 co-creators of that British comic book character, Judge Dredd, and he was one of them. But Judge Dredd was particularly violent, I think, as a policeman.
The problem I have is I know a different Judge Dredd.
Oh, the singing Judge Dredd.
Yes. Wind up,
Oh, I don't know
girls,
the
let me
singing
beep, beep.
I've done all the rude. You can't do rude.
Well, I didn't do rude. I went beep.
Okay. Should we
He
be?
beeped
Whose
himself.
phone was that?
That's not me. look,
Robbie's.
I am
That's
vulnerable.
Robbie's.
Was that Robbie's phone?
Robbie's
Give him a
Samsung
slap. Tony, by the way, is in North Norway.
Oh, yeah?
Blimey.
Gosh.
Oh, gosh, it is
Near
cold up
Santa,
there.
where near Santa lives.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh.
It's pretty close.
Dobrý den, Hanka, v Bratislava. And Toby, I don't know where Toby is. But I'm sorry, I didn't
Is
get
he in his jugs? That's an old term
God.
for drinking.
Rach, help me
Yes.
out with Carlos.
Come on, do Carlos.
Well, I just did it.
She did actually.
You went-
She did actually do it. Yeah.
Well, she did, I suppose, yeah.
What's
Okay.
there left to say? The man created a very extremely violent but intelligent policeman as a comic book character, and now he died. not the comic
Indeed.
character.
He's only
He never lived
70
to
as
begin
well,
with.
wasn't he?
We'll hand the next
Yes.
story over to Lee because it would appear to be his age group. Celeste Yarnell.
Ah, and it's sad, and that's where she's gone into the celestial world above. She's died 84. She actually starred with Elvis in Live a Little, Love a Little.
Excuse me, having a palpitation moment.
He is. He's palpitating all over the desk. And that was in 1968. And she also appeared in Star Trek.
Yes.
Which was rubbish.
Which is brilliant.
Which is rubbish.
Which is brilliant.
Which was rubbish as Yeoman Martha Landon. And maybe I've just made that bit up because I didn't read it that quick. Yeah, Yeoman Martha Landon in the USS Enterprise. The useless Enterprise.
Oh, she was a bit of a dolly bird.
She wasn't. Anyway, yes, that's why she was called Celeste, because she had a celestial body.
Anyway, we move on. Stephen's joined us.
Hello, Stephen.
Norky has joined us. Hello, Norky. And just coming at me from all directions. Sanjid Javid has apologised to immigrants who've been forced, apparently, to give their DNA samples in the UK. And I am kind of a little bit 50-50 over this story.
I knew you would be.
I am.
What do you think, Rach? Do you think it's right that people, when they enter... See, it's a different thing.
No, but explain what it is, because they're claiming...
I was doing it.
Oh, sorry.
That's what I was doing.
Oh, get you.
It's a bit different in Australia, isn't it, Rachel? Because you have very strict rules on entry. In Britain, it's a bit more lax. And what we were actually doing was taking DNA samples off people, off like Afghan nationals, and even, this was the worst of it, the Gurkha soldiers who were part of our defence system, to prove that they actually did have a right to enter Britain because they got families over here.
That bit I don't agree with, because the Gurkhas would have documentation from the military days explaining why they could come in. Now, where I have a problem with this, or don't have a problem with it as it goes, there are, let's be honest, there are different visual impacts of people in different parts of the world, and we can understand our own. For example, you can tell from looking at Lee, he's an animal. Pretty much he's from Manchester. It's not difficult, and Brits can see Brits. It's not a problem.
You can tell a Brit, yeah.
You can. The same as you can tell most.
They look like Australians with intelligence.
No, they look like Australians with a pale skin.
They look like Australians with bloody awful teeth.
Well, that's true. And not being rude, when you get to places like the Middle East, I can't say whether someone's coming from Lebanon, from Afghanistan, from Iraq. I have no idea from just looking at them. And then, so someone says, "Oh, I'm a relative of Lee." I go, "No, you can't be, because he's a Mancunian and you don't look a bit like it." If it's somebody similar looking, I wouldn't have a ghost in hex clue.
That's terrible saying that everybody looks like
they do.
Yeah, but what it was...
To us, they do.
Yeah.
To each other.
But what this was...
So they're just clearing it up, aren't they?
No, because what it was that people who wanted to come and live and work in the UK, right, they could, if they wanted to enhance their application, go for a DNA test to prove that they
family.
Yeah, but why? What does it matter? What does it matter? And what actually happened, and this is what he's actually apologised for, is that hundreds and hundreds of letters were sent out that didn't make it clear that they didn't have to do this if they didn't want to, that it wasn't mandatory. The letters went out basically telling people, if you don't have this done, then you get out. And it's a different way.
No, that was wrong. I agree with that.
But it's a different way of collecting information about people, and it's wrong. It's wrong.
But if you're claiming asylum and also claiming you have a family member in the UK, I don't see what's wrong with taking a DNA test.
I just don't understand what difference it makes, honestly. Because if somebody's got nefarious intentions, whether they're a relative or not, they're going to carry out...
Totally, Rach. Absolutely.
So what's the difference? And in Australia, you don't get your DNA tested unless you've been arrested for some reason.
Yeah.
So I don't really understand. And
it's an
and
invasion,
then what's
isn't
the
it,
assurance?
Rach?
Let's say it's okay. Let's say okay. Yep, that's fair enough. For 1 second, what happens to this DNA after the fact? Where is it stored?
There are.
What database does it go onto? What happens to it?
No, there are strict laws in the UK. Whether they're adhered to or not, I don't know. But there are periods of time where after that DNA results are destroyed. And that is the law of the land. And while some conspiracy theorists will go, no, they don't do that. To be honest, if you've got nothing to worry about, then you've got nothing to hide, so it doesn't really matter. And it's the same argument as people going, it invades my privacy, when they were suggesting there should be an ID card in the UK. I've been carrying an ID card for 15 years. I have not had a mental breakdown because of it.
How many times have you
Well, it's the same as doing surveillance when they're talking about doing surveillance with particularly Homeland Security and whatnot in the United States when they have the Patriot Act and they do surveillance. The general consensus of, well, if you're not doing anything wrong, you've got nothing to hide.
Correct.
So, but what's the difference between somebody giving a birth certificate saying I'm related to this person, they're my mother, my father, my sister, my brother,
that could be fiddled.
And the DNA, but what's the difference? If somebody has got nefarious intentions and they intend on carrying them out, what's the difference?
Absolutely. Now,
what's the difference?
Lee was poking at me to say how many times have I used my ID card. Lots, actually.
Have you?
Yeah, not in a negative way.
I wasn't point scorer. I was just interested.
It's more to do with, for example, when I opened a new bank account.
Yeah.
Okay, I went in there. I didn't have to give the guy my address and everything else because it's all on the ID card.
Yeah.
He just copied it down. And actually, it makes it easier because I've got an English surname and I've got 2 Christian names, which is not normal in Slovakia. So he can just copy it down. Yeah. When I went for, the first time I went for motor vehicle insurance on my own back, then I showed my ID card. There's situations like that. It's the same as to avoid people doing naughty things with mobile phones in Slovakia, you have to show your ID card. If you want to buy a firearm, you show your ID card. So it all ties in beautifully.
Yeah, I think what it is, the reason Brits objected to ID cards and the reason this DNA thing has created a situation where Britain's had to apologise is because as a free nation, as a nation which is a democracy, which is a nation that invites people into to join it, we are actually witnessing on each of these occasions and plenty of others an erosion of freedom, and it should at least be discussed. There is
discussed, yes, but it is 2018, and you have to be a bit more cautious.
It doesn't mean you've got to lose. You've got to allow erosion of your privacy.
No, that's true. Andrea says, "Hello, Eric from Stratford on Avon." Oh, that's
she told me she was going to see Tina.
Oh, Andrea.
Yeah.
No, that's Andrea Ward Eversley. Andrea Ward Eversley is the jazz diva of the UK.
Dobry den, Andrea Ward Eversley.
She's got a beautiful voice. Really beautiful jazz
I'm sure
voice.
she has. Speak to me. Say something, Andrea.
How can she? It's written, you silly girl. We move on. I've got slightly upset this week. And,
he did.
And I make no apologies for getting upset because I passionately believe in the subject matter.
He's right.
Eh?
I just said you were right. I was just applauding you.
Rach, did you hear that?
No, like your underpants do.
I did hear that. I did.
Are you as shocked as I am?
I'm without speech.
Well, there you go. It's so bad at the moment in the UK with the poppy appeal that the Royal British Legion have had to go to the ridiculous lengths of actually doing myth-busting on what the red poppy is. And it's actually saying... Yeah, I know, Steve. Lee agreeing with me. I can't catch up. Steve Melrose has got to go, but he's going to listen to the rest of the show because he's at work. I think someone just walked in and he'll catch up later. Don't worry about it, Steve. We'll keep going for you, mate. Wearing a poppy at Remembrance means you support war is one of the claims. It is completely the opposite. That poppies are not pro-war. they are a symbol of respect, because back in the day, 100 years ago, the guys died in the poppy fields. And that's a fact.
Yes.
The other myth is that the poppy symbolises bloodshed. That is such a ridiculous comment. In fact, it's like north and south magnets, diametrically opposed. It's because the battlegrounds in Flanders, as I was saying before, are absolutely covered in red poppies.
Yes.
It's the field where they fell. The selling of poppies is banned in certain communities over remembrance. No, there is no official area in the UK which bans the sale of poppies. However, it is difficult to buy poppies in certain communities who don't respect the fact that if it wasn't for those soldiers, they wouldn't be able to live where they are now.
Who's that community? Name it, shame it.
I can't. I wouldn't.
Do you know it?
I do. But what happens here is rather like some idiot on Facebook said, you should not talk to Muslims, they don't wear poppies.
God.
What a twat.
Hey, that's a bad word.
That's if you go by that
appropriate.
logic, then Muslims shouldn't talk to us if we don't wear something
I
over our
quite
heads, for
agree.
goodness sake. That's just stupid.
Keith asked the big question of the week. Crap. What's wrong with people today? I don't know, Keith.
No.
I really don't. And the only thing I can think of, and Lee's going to love this, he's absolutely going to love it and go, I told you so, I told you so. A lot of it is they know that if they argue with somebody on social media, they get 15 minutes of fame.
I think that's absolutely 100% right. Andy Warhol said we all get 15 minutes of fame, and all of a sudden when social media came in, everybody thought they could do it. And what they do is just make complete idiots of themselves.
Correct. Actually, Steve, you've raised a good point.
See, it's about time.
He can't. Well, he can't wear one because his disability makes it difficult to use the pin. They need a better method. I've got a funny feeling if you ask around, Steve, you will find some that are magnetic.
I was just going to say magnetic ones. You
Yeah.
can't get them, Steve, honestly. Yeah,
Honestly, mate, there you go. So we urge everybody who's living in the free world, whether you agree or not, it's a fact of life. If it wasn't for the armed forces in many countries, including and it was back then Czechoslovakia, the Free Czechoslovakia Army and the Air Force, the pilots from Poland, if it wasn't for those people, we wouldn't be able to mess about here on a Friday betwixt and between ourselves on so many platforms because we just wouldn't. We wouldn't be allowed to do it. Well, we wouldn't be here in the first place. So just support the people who gave it. They gave the ultimate thing for you to mess about in a country.
I think I support this man 100% in everything he said about this. Yeah, we should remember, no matter how long ago the war is now, it's nearly 100 years ago now, is it?
The First World War is being the centenary.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry,
is being celebrated or commemorated in November, and I would actually like it to be a celebration, not a commemoration, and I would like it to celebrate all the good things that those soldiers allowed us to have.
I agree 100%.
It's not all about just commemorating. And Keith says millennials just don't get it. No, I'm sorry, Keith, I'm not having that, because a lot of millennials do get it. It's the few with the louder voices who are millennials. They're from the 90s, the 80s, 70s, and even back to the 60s, who've got that little bit of a louder voice. And they get heard or seen in print over other people, where the silent majority just get on with it. And I'm sorry, you cannot have minority rule when the majority are just being quiet. So if it means me and Lee sticking up for the majority because there are minorities being stupid, then we'll do it.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I'm ranting again, aren't I?
I think it
I
was
really
a
do
good
believe
rant.
that.
I think it's a rant needed saying.
Idiots in America, and I have to say they are idiots. Suspect packages have been found around Robert De Niro's restaurant. It's been found at the Obamas, the Clintons, and just about everywhere. And this actually kind of sums up the follow-on from the poppies. These people who don't use the ballot box turn to bombs. Why?
These devices weren't bombs.
No, I know.
They were
were
pretend bombs.
Pretend bombs.
Even worse, really, in a way.
Yeah, because they cause more of an uproar. And the fact is that, these people who want to disrupt life just because they can't win. Well, there's a reason you can't win. It's because nobody wants to listen to your rubbish.
And the problem is, you have President Trump, yes, the major man of the world, who is blaming the press for it happening. He's saying that these pretend bombs are the biggest lie in this world, right? It's all because of the media printing fake news. It's not that, it's because you're an idiot, Donald.
The thing that I think doesn't really help is these constant. It's almost like he's campaigning still. He goes to these rallies and gets everybody all excited and right up, like he's campaigning again. And it's the nutter splinter factions of these particular, radical groups that do things like this. And not to say it's not, like a Unabomber situation where it could be just some dude in a hut somewhere, but they're enticed into these sort of hateful and violent tendencies because of these rallies. And it's like, no, you can't go and incite the people and then blame the press. You really, really can't. And the reason why they're being sent to people like De Niro is because he dared stand up and say something against Trump, and several times, and really vocally, and in probably some pretty colourful Robert De Niro style language. But,
as you do.
But you can't just send pretend pipe bombs to all sides of the FBI is going to catch whoever this is anyway, but you can't do that. You can't send it to CNN and Joe Biden. What has Joe Biden ever done? For goodness sakes, Joe Biden's probably the nicest grandpas on planet Earth. You don't send things to Joe Biden. But this whole business about the fake news brought this on. Well, that's fake news right there, isn't it?
Absolutely.
If they catch the bugger, then I hope they get the maximum sentence, whatever that is. Well said, that man. And governments are mostly minorities, as they rarely get over 50% of the vote. Now, that is only true in certain countries. If you take PR voting, as there is in Slovakia, if your first vote isn't the winner, you get a secondary one, and so on and so forth. PR does work that way. The downside is you never get a really controlling government, and it's always it's always a hung parliament of some kind.
We have a preferential system here. And I mean, just recently, we had our nice Malcolm Turnbull, that nice Prime Minister who I really liked, and he got toppled about a month ago, and he of course quit politics, and his seat went up for by-election, and because of the backlash against what his party did to him, they lost that seat, and now we have a hung parliament. So, the preferential system has its drawbacks, and it's also a wonderful thing, I suppose, because it gives everybody a fair shot. But honestly, first past the post seems to be the most quick way to do things, but who knows who you end up with.
Absolutely. Hi to Monique and Mohammed, who's always here every week. Hello, mate. Thank you for joining us all the time. And Leban is there as well. It is a difficult one, the voting thing. You will never please all of the people all of the time. You'll always have a minority that says, I didn't win. And I mean, there's a question in part which is going to rattle a few cages. As you know, if you listen to this programme, Mr Corbyn, who's the opposition leader in the UK, he has something, and correct me if I'm wrong, he's got something like 500,000 members to his party. I think that's about roughly right. Now, since he's been in, he hasn't really won anything.
No.
And in fact, the Labour Party's gone backwards. And so even though you've got 500,000 members of a political party, doesn't mean to say that those members will end up with a voice, because if you've got millions and millions who disagree, tough luck on the 500,000.
Well, he said the 500,000 is actually 120th of the population, so it's not a very big figure anyway.
It's not really representative, though.
No, of course it isn't.
Absolutely.
You know, actually, I got to tell you, I saw the most preposterous thing on Facebook. I love Facebook because it's a place where you can see the most preposterous things, and it was actually from Adon Stevens, do you believe? Yeah. He and I differ on politics as two people couldn't differ anymore. Mm-hmm. And he loves the Tea Party. He's all about the right and so forth, and that's fine. But he reposted this picture of a sketch of like a criminal sketch, like the police do, and of Hillary Clinton in a hoodie, and they said, "There's your culprit. That's who's sending all the bombs." They say it's Democrats sending all these pipe bombs all around the place, and I never comment on anything. I just scroll past, and that's fine because we have more in common than we don't. So I just scroll past, but I wrote, "Oh, please."
Yeah. Well, Steve has commented on my last comments about Mr. Corbyn saying rubbish, and I will cite. I think it was the 70s or 80s, because I can't remember. There was a leader of the Labour Party called Neil Kinnock.
Yeah.
He wasn't that dissimilar to Mr. Corbyn in many ways.
Oh.
In many ways, he was a very left of centre person,
yeah.
And he had passionate beliefs, which Mr. Corbyn does.
And he had charm, wit, and charisma. Three things that
Mr. Corbyn doesn't have. Yeah, okay. But what I respect about both of them is they have things. Now, the only time Mr. Corbyn lost it for me was when the Parliament were taking the mickey out of him horribly, because he would say, "Lee from Birmingham has written to me," and he would read the question, and everybody would laugh at him. And the comment was, "Oh, he can't get his own questions, he's got to make them up," and blah, blah, blah. He should have stuck to that. He really should have stuck to that, because it was actually doing a great service for the voters of the UK. But he bottled it and stopped it. And Mr. Kinnock wasn't that dissimilar in that he tried to do changes. He tried to do a lot of things. And did he ever become Prime Minister? Nope.
I can't remember what happened. He ended up in the... Oh, no, that was the other one.
No, he ended up in the European Commission.
Yeah, of course. There was something that went on, and I really can't remember. But, yeah... I did have time for Kinnock.
He and his missus both ended up in the European Commission, earning £250,000 a year.
Yeah, which, fair enough, that's what they did. That's
absolutely. Hello to Michelle, and who's apparently in the UK.
Hello, Michelle in the UK.
Well, hello, Michelle in the UK. But you will never like Labour because of the Marine Offences Act. Now, that's true, Steve. I give you that one. No, actually, it's so hard to actually say to people, because you get halfway through a sentence and they go, "Ah!" And if you say you respect a particular person, it's not necessarily you respect them as the person. You respect them because they stick at their views. Whether their views are right or wrong in your mind makes no odds. But the fact is that there are still, and I think you've seen them actually, there are still people today who will not vote for the Labour Party because on August the 14th, 1967, Harold Wilson outlawed the offshore radio stations.
But look at it in a different way, you people, that actually what Harold Wilson managed to do, and I'm sure Eric will back me on this, is create this whole new world of radio, of rebellious radio, of excitement and drama and swashbuckling people who changed and did things that they wouldn't have done if we'd have carried on with this staid little way it was before.
Yeah, that's true. But it still means we won't never vote for it.
Go past this story because somebody asked us a question about
I know, I'm not going past this story, even though we're getting short of time. We are talking, and I'm going to get this wrong, I know I am, Camille Khashoggi. How close is that?
It's pretty close. Khashoggi, yeah.
He was the journalist that was murdered, in my opinion, in Turkey by the Saudi Arabians.
There's no doubt about it now.
Well,
there's no doubt.
Yeah, hang on, sorry. Yes, I've been reminded by Keith. I've been reminded. And in 1970, Mr. Wilson and crew jammed. They put a beep, 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 beep noise
yeah.
on Radio North Sea International RNI in the 1970s because they thought that RNI would put out pro-conservative messages. As they did.
That's right.
Which is the song that was sung many times on, it's good today, I love this, on RNI. Who do you think you are kidding, Mr. Wilson, if you think free radio's done?
When you talk about, which we won't have time to, but like the gagging orders through the courts, Carol Wilson actually made one of the biggest gagging orders because he didn't want them to talk about his affair.
I know, it's ridiculous. But anyway, going back to this poor guy who was, if you listen to the guy, I can't say he was even a strong journalist, to be honest. I think he was quite a quiet guy.
He was. He was after the truth, and there's a lot of rubbish talked about journalists, and basically, I'm sure Eric will back me up on this. I'm very, very honest because I am a journalist, and what I look for all the time is the truth. And Jamal Khashoggi was looking for the truth. He might not have been flamboyant, he might not have been noisy, but he was hunting down the truth. And something has happened in the last 15 years where before that, journalists had almost a free pass in all sorts of in war situations, in crime situations, because we all, as societies, believed in the dissemination of the truth. And now what we do, because we want to kill off the truth, like Thingy Green, we kill journalists. And that's what happened to this man. He was killed because he was hunting down the truth.
But don't they understand, the people who kill the people who are trying to tell the truth, don't they understand that where they kill this one, another one's coming?
Absolutely.
And if they kill that one, another one's coming. They're never going to stop. Journalists will never stop trying to disseminate the truth, ever. That is their whole reason for being. It is their raison d'etre. So you kill one, and another one's coming.
It's an inherent belief. It's an inherent belief inside any journalist. We're almost like policemen. Yes, there's corruption. Yes, there are people who do things wrong within the profession, as there are within policemen. But there is an inherent thing within anybody who's a good journalist. They cannot and will not deliberately tell a lie.
Absolutely. Good afternoon to Louise. Tony says, strange video not showing on Facebook. Is that true for people?
Us?
Yeah, I mean, I'm waving to everybody now. Woo-hoo, people. Keith reminds us that after the Labour Party jammed Radio North Sea, the Conservative Party carried on doing it as well. So you see, even more so, they're all the same.
We were all at sea everywhere.
Yeah, flipping heck. And the owners of newspapers are interfering editorially too much these days. No, they're not.
Why do you think that? Why? What makes people make that statement all the time? It is entirely wrong. Editors are chosen. Editors walk out of newspapers all the time because of pressure that's brought on them to tell stories that they do not believe in. That's why you have an editor between the newspaper and the owner. Grow up. That isn't true.
Very true.
Thank you.
And
except
equally,
for Murdoch papers.
No.
Yes.
It's all the same because they choose an editor that suits the publication in the first place.
Of course they do.
And therefore, you get a political stance. And as one person said, because we were debating this the other day, and I said, but, why do you not look at alternative sources for your news? And I cited the fact, we have lost our Facebook thing. Yeah. Reload. It could be the interweb. No, we're all right. Log in and start again. He did that last week to me. I'm sure they don't love me, Facebook. I don't think Facebook love me at all.
Just to continue your point while
I'll just finish the point off because people can listen later and will do. The fact is that television is kind of accepted. Radio is the most trusted medium in Europe as far as news content is concerned, and I think that's because they are kind of stuck in the middle. And we have to be stuck in the middle. It's the way radio operates. And therefore, if somebody only buys in the UK, say, the Daily Mirror, they get one stance. If they buy the Daily Mail, they get one stance. They never buy both newspapers to compare and then make up their own minds about what is actually happening. And so, therefore, you do get a bias side from newspapers, actually created by the person buying the newspaper.
Well, yeah, but each newspaper has its own bias, and that does come down from the owner. The owner will buy a paper which represents his political point of view, and they will take an editor on who will represent up to a point his political point of view. The thing is, the cornerstone of democracy that the press is exactly what Eric's just said, that each complexion and each variation of political points of view is represented by different factions of the media. And it used to be the fact that everybody did buy every newspaper, so they got every side of the story. That did start to drift away when other sort of news sources came about. But now all newspapers are on the internet. It's starting to happen again. People go from one paper to the other. The media is generally honest. People like Donald Trump, who create false news stories, is not the truth.
No.
Neither is Facebook.
I'm in trouble. Martina's watching. That's my chef over, Martina.
Dobry den, Martina.
Oh, God, sorry, love. Hi to Jack and Marcus and Rachel, who is watching us. She said, I can see you. Rach?
This Rach?
I can see you. I'm just checking that you're there. I can see you.
Aren't we a handsome couple? I'm handsome and he makes up the couple. Ha!
Guess a wave, then.
Give you a wave, then. I'm giving you a wave. We've got to squeeze these stories in. And I want to go back to Australia. Rach?
Yes, this is a great story.
It is.
We've got a hero in our midst, don't you know?
Yeah.
There's this nice man who was on a plane, a Boeing 737, in fact, which is quite a large plane, although there doesn't seem to be very many people on it for a very large plane. They crashed in Micronesia. It was an Air New Guinea plane, and the crew panicked and left the passengers to evacuate themselves, which is kind of a bit of a lapse in their protocol, I would suggest. But this nice man, Mr. Milburn, I don't exactly know where he's from, but I will endeavour to find out. He said, well, okay, everybody said to stay in your seat and don't move. That's what they were instructed to do, but the water was rapidly rising. They did land in the ocean. So he stood up with his life vest and went outside. And outside on the wing, there was another fella who was trying to deploy the raft, but couldn't find the cord to do so. So they found the cord, and then he kept running back inside to get people. And then a bunch of other people turned up to help. And there was also US Navy and so forth and so on. And they just kept going back inside to dig people out. But he said the crew were just sort of frantically yelling and not really instructing anybody to do anything. And that's incredible.
People have got to remember, though, that the crew, although they're supposed to be, holier than thou and all the rest of it, that when it comes down to it, they are human beings. And
but all of them? Like all of them? So there must be one hero amongst, surely.
Probably.
Not,
Actually, I've got to compliment the audience. I'm going to compliment the audience now because we didn't lose Facebook. Facebook lost us for a couple of moments. All of our other networks stayed up beautifully. But... Oh, Gordon Bennett.
Have a dig.
We've gone again. See, the minute I mentioned Facebook, we went off. Isn't that amazing?
Maybe you shouldn't do that.
Maybe I shouldn't. No, that's true.
Say Facebook again and see if it goes off.
I will do. I'll do it again in a minute. But the go live. Here we go again. The bottom line is a lot of the people that actually let's get this feed up. Yeah, the feed's back up on Facebook. Hello Facebook. What you should know is
that's the end of your conspiracy theory.
Yeah, when you screw up the feed and turn it off, or one of your servers goes down, our other servers stay on, which means that a lot of our audience went from Facebook over to younow.com/RTI radio, as did Hayley and Justin and many others, and you all carried on listening on another network. So, Mr. Facebook, get yourself going. Get yourself going, or you're going to lose your audience, because they are smart, our audience. They are clever, our audience. They actually go to different places when Facebook goes. We'd have to talk to Nick Clegg about it.
Mr. Clegg, of course.
Yeah, we'll have a word with old Cleggy.
Oh, Cloggy Clegg.
We'll have a word with Cleggy about it. Zoe Ball is facing a tough challenge when she takes over as Radio 2 host. He was a smart boy, that Chris Evans. He leaves as the audience starts to go down.
How many did he get? It went down by what?
Couple of million or something, wasn't it?
6 million, wasn't it?
Something ridiculously big. Smart move on his part. Very, 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 very.
Oh, 530,000.
Yeah, exactly. Good afternoon to David Vick, who's just. David, where have you been? You're late. We've been slaving away for 55 minutes through this news programme.
And you just joined us.
David's just joined us. Yes, thank you very much indeed. You're wonderful. And apologies for the other people communicating via Facebook. It wasn't our problem. Their server went down the thingy, and we carried on other places. Facebook has been fined. That's what they didn't want us to say.
Yeah.
£500,000 for the Cambridge Analytica scandal, and the reason it was so small, it's the highest that they can actually be fined.
Yeah.
There is no fee higher than that.
Not representational, it's the law.
True. And just to warn all you lovely people in the UK, there is a weather warning out, which means there'll be a leaf on the floor somewhere.
And the train will skid.
Yeah, that's true. Travel Chaos and Gritters are on standby.
Thunder snow? What's thunder snow? Is that like thunder thighs?
Probably. It's going to be -7, Rach.
Well, you still won't be able to get coal in the village of the damned because it's not winter.
No, it's because it's in hell.
Oh, we've got to do congratulations to somebody.
Well, go on then.
Very quickly, and we're very short on time. Matthew West, known to me as Matt. Hello, Matt. He says, "Hi, Eric. I passed my Arctic licence today." He's got his Class 1 licence.
Brilliant!
Hey! Go on, you Maddie.
Yeah, go Maddie, go Maddie, go Maddie. Keith says we're back. Yeah, we are. And we're going to finish off very quickly because we've got to find out what... I'm going to do a top 10. Top 10 for you. Top selling artists of albums of all time. In at number 10, AC/DC. 9, Pink Floyd. 8, Elton John. 7, Michael Jackson. 6, Billy Joel. 8, the Eagles.
Terrible.
4, Led Zeppelin. 3, Elvis Presley. I said the word. 2, Garth Brooks. I can get that.
I can't get that.
I can.
I think that's
I can't get it either. I don't know about that. That's
Garth
shady.
Brooks, yeah, makes sense. And in at number 1, it's 178 million units sold. The Fab Four. It's the Beatles.
The psychedelic ABBA.
Psychedelic ABBA.
Yeah.
What are you like, psychedelic ABBA?
The ashram ABBA. They're hardcore weirdos.
Oh, no. I knew today was going to be one of those days. Whilst, what, the football? No, stop it, Steve. Behave yourself. Rach, what are you up to this weekend then?
I've got to get up in about 5 hours and go to work.
No!
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But that's all right. And the weekend after, but that's okay. You know what? Because I live to work. It's what I do. It's who I am.
I know.
I kind of am like that, Rach. I don't
But
understand
I'm lying.
this.
I'm lying. Don't you hear the lies?
I can't see your fingers crossed.
No, you could tell in a voice. It was cynical.
Was it satire she was
It
doing?
was doing.
It was.
Was it really?
I was overacting. I was.
I think you were overacting as well, a lot. Yes, you were being a rather large thespian, I think.
I was.
That's terrible.
What do you mean he's terrible?
Because you've just been rude all day. You've said terrible things all day.
I haven't.
At any rate, John.
Yeah. If you
I
want to
did.
know if I'm a real thespian or not, check out my profile picture because my haircut tells a different story.
I didn't.
I can do it better than you.
I know you can. Go on, do an Orville.
I can't remember what I'm doing. I'll go on then. Carry on and I'll do me all.
I didn't. I can fly. That's it. That's the one. No, seriously, Matt, congratulations. Well done. That's some achievement. Lee, what are you up to?
What now? I don't know.
No,
Oh,
on
I
the
don't know.
weekend.
I don't. Oh, I've got all sorts. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to do
You despair.
radio shows.
Are you going to make some
Nice.
shows?
I'm going to do some shows, I think. Yes. Why are you looking at me like that for?
I worry when he starts talking about radio. It always concerns me.
I'm going to do things. I'm going to be creative. I'm going to do lots of creative things. I've polished my car. I've took my car, and do you know there was nothing up with it? All it had was its oil chase. They put it on that thingy that checks it all out. 300 quid. It cost me 300 quid.
Yeah, well, that's cheap.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Good value.
Brilliant.
As it goes.
I had to go to Kasica to get it done, though.
Koshitsa.
I can't say that because that's another rude word.
Koshitsa.
Yeah, you see, it's got the in the middle.
Stop it. Anyway, it's time to say goodbye, Rach.
Bye, Rach.
Goodbye. Goodbye, Rach.
Goodbye to Catfish as well. You're late. City time.
Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
We'll see you again next week, boys and girls. Have a great week till next week. Enjoy yourselves. And just, be nice to each other. It's so much easier that way because it just is, really. Steve's up next on the Station of the Stars. That's Radio Tatras International. We'll see you all again, same channel next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Stars. RTI.